I want to tell you something that most reviewers will never say about this drone. After flying it, after testing every mode, after pushing it as hard as I could, I still could not produce footage that looks like DJI's official promo films. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Neither can you. Not because this drone is not powerful enough. It absolutely is. But because what separates great footage from average footage is not a bigger sensor or a longer battery life. It is time, it is access, it is the ability to be at the right place at the right moment. The Mavic 4 Pro cannot give you that. What it can give you, and this is where things get interesting, as far as is the most capable imaging platform DJI has ever put into a drone at this size. And today, after flying it, testing it, and spending serious time understanding where it wins and where it disappoints, I am going to give you the full, honest story. Because this drone costs as much as a Mini 5 Pro, a Neo 2, and an L3S combined. And when I say L3S, I am referring to the DJI Air 3S. So yes, I think we are allowed to expect more. Let us find out if it delivers. On paper, Mavic 4 Pro is the fastest flying camera drone DJI has ever made. Normal mode tops out at 18 meters per second. Sport mode hits between 25 and 27. That is faster than the old L3 series, which used to be the king of speed. Braking is equally aggressive. 16 meters per second stopping capability. It leans hard, stops fast, and recovers clean. Pure acceleration and deceleration? Top tier. No argument there. But then you actually fly it, and something feels different. There is a weight to it, a slight heaviness. A feeling that the drone is not quite as connected to your inputs as you expected. At first I thought it was me. Maybe I was used to lighter drones. Maybe I needed to adjust. But after more testing, the reason became clear, and this is something nobody explains properly. The Mavic 4 Pro is constantly protecting its gimbal. That spherical gimbal, the most innovative thing about this drone, requires a lot of physical space to rotate. And because of that, the flight controller deliberately softens certain inputs to prevent the gimbal from hitting its physical limits. What that means in real flying is this: fly at 10 meters per second with obstacle avoidance off, emergency brake hard, feel the response, now tilt the gimbal downward and do the same thing. The difference is obvious. The drone holds back. It prioritizes the hardware over your feeling of control. That is not wrong. That is a design decision. But it does mean the Mavic 4 Pro never feels as sharp and responsive as the L3S. It never feels as agile as you expect something this expensive to feel. It feels powerful, it feels planted, it feels safe, but it does not feel alive in the same way. And whether that matters to you depends entirely on how you fly. If you shoot cinematic, slow, deliberate footage, you will love this. The heaviness becomes a feature. Smooth lines, controlled transitions. Everything looks considered. If you like aggressive movement, tight gaps, fast reactive flying, you will feel the limitation, and you will feel it often. 04 Plus transmission. I will keep this short because honestly it needs very little explanation. 10 kilometers of clean signal in open environments. No interference, no dropout. With a fresh battery, I pushed it to 13 kilometers and landed with over 10% remaining. At that distance, battery endurance becomes your real limit, not signal strength. Now here is the interesting part. In dense urban environments, the kind of environment where signal usually degrades fast, 04 Plus on the Mavic 4 Pro actually feels slightly stronger than the 04 on Mini 5 Pro. The reason is antenna configuration, more drone, more antenna real estate, better signal geometry. For most people flying in cities, this will never matter. You will never fly 10 kilometers out. But what it does mean practically is that in crowded areas, interference resistance is excellent. You are not fighting the signal. You are just flying. And when signal is one less thing to worry about, you fly more confidently. That matters more than the raw kilometer number. Battery life on the Mavic 4 Pro is genuinely strong. A fresh battery gets around 35 minutes of real-world flying. Even a battery with over 100 charge cycles still delivers around 30 minutes. Compare that to Mini 5 Pro, which is similar in ideal conditions but degrades more noticeably under long distance load. Mavic 4 Pro stays consistent. Long-range flights affect it less than the smaller drones. The power delivery is stable. Now the Creator Combo comes with a 240-watt charger. 3 batteries from empty to full in about 90 minutes. That is nearly twice as fast as the Mini 5 Pro charging hub. Here's where I want to be honest though. The charging hub also supports power consolidation and reverse output, meaning you can transfer charge between batteries and use it as a power bank. Sounds useful. In practice, if I needed a power bank on location, I would not be carrying a 1 kilogram charging hub to provide it. These features look impressive on a spec sheet. They solve problems that most people who buy this drone do not actually have. The things that matter are simpler: 35 minutes of consistent flight time, fast charging between sessions, stable power under load. On those 3 things, Mavic 4 Pro genuinely delivers. This is where the Mavic 4 Pro separates itself most clearly. Largest sensor in this category, widest dynamic range, 6K recording, full D-Log-M, all intra encoding option. If you fly the exact same route with a Mini 5 Pro and Mavic 4 Pro and then zoom in on the footage, the difference is real. More detail, better texture, cleaner shadows. Mini 5 Pro is good, but there is still a visible gap. Now here is the honest part that most reviewers skip. If you are uploading to YouTube at compressed bit rates, even 4K 60 at high settings, that gap becomes less dramatic once it is compressed and displayed on a screen, pixel peeping at full resolution. Mavic 4 Pro wins clearly. YouTube playback on a phone or even a TV, the gap is smaller than you think. So who does the image quality genuinely matter for? Commercial work. Clients who will view footage on large screens or in post-production, creators who grade heavily and need files that hold up under pressure. For casual YouTube content, the difference is real but not always worth the price gap alone. Now there is something interesting about the auto ISO behavior that I want to flag. When ISO is set to auto, dynamic range noticeably increases, especially in high contrast scenes with direct sunlight. But when you switch off auto ISO, highlight clipping can appear almost immediately in the same scene. The trade-off is that in full auto exposure mode, you lose granular control, and in time-lapse specifically, auto exposure can introduce flickering that manual control avoids. I would love to see a firmware update that allows locking auto exposure values. Right now, it is an either-or situation when it should not be. The 3 camera setups, Rigen 28mm main, 2.5 times mid-tele, and 6 times telephoto, covers a range that no other drone at this size matches. The 6 times telephoto is genuinely special. Long focal length means distance without interference. Strong background compression makes shots look elegant and intentional. The only weakness is rolling shutter. High-resolution sensors have slower readout speeds, and slight jello is still visible in fast movement situations. It is manageable, but it is there. The Spherical Gimbal. This is the most talked about feature on the Mavic 4 Pro, and for good reason. Up to 440 degrees of roll rotation, the ability to shoot in portrait mode natively, full freedom that no other gimbal at this size has ever offered. On paper, it is incredible. In practice, and this is where I want to be very specific on it comes with trade-offs that DJI does not advertise clearly. First, because of the gimbal's size and complexity, certain axes have surprisingly limited range. In landscape mode, horizontal yaw is more restricted than you expect. In portrait mode, pitch freedom becomes the limitation. The drone compensates by reducing its own tilt angle in normal and cine modes, which is exactly what creates that heavy, softened feel I described earlier. The gimbal is shaping how the entire drone flies. Second, the gimbal is not perfectly centered during roll. Here is how to see this yourself. Hover. Align the center of your frame with the corner of a building, then do a full roll rotation. The center drifts in a circular pattern. On the main 28mm camera, this is subtle. On the 2.5 times, it becomes more obvious. On the 6 times telephoto, the subject can shift almost a quarter of the short edge during a full roll. That is significant, especially for creators who want to use the roll feature for cinematic shots. I am not certain if this is a calibration issue or a structural design limitation, but it is real, and it is something you should know before you buy. Third, there is no mechanical axis lock. Attaching the gimbal cover when the drone is powered off feels awkward. Battery swapping when powered on becomes its own challenge. These are small daily friction points, but with a drone at this price point, small friction points should not exist. Here is my honest summary of the gimbal. The 440-degree roll rotation is a genuine creative tool. Portrait mode natively in a drone this capable is genuinely useful for social content. But to deliver that feature, DJI made compromises on flight agility, yaw axis size, pitch freedom, and precision during roll moves. Is full 360-degree roll worth those sacrifices? For some creators, absolutely yes. The creative flexibility is real. For others who will rarely use that feature, they are paying for a gimbal that also limits their flight experience. Know which type of creator you are before you decide. Obstacle sensing. And this is where the Mavic 4 Pro genuinely earns its flagship title. And I want to explain why properly, because this is not just about having more sensors. The sensing system uses 0.1 lux fisheye cameras. Upper sensors, lower sensors, side coverage, walk around the drone, and horizontally there are essentially no blind spots. But here is what makes this system special. Each direction is covered by at least 4 fisheye lenses. That means if you block one pair, physically obstruct it, the system can still construct stereo vision from other angles, like performance drops slightly, but it does not fail completely. That redundancy does not exist on smaller drones. On Mini 5 Pro, block a sensor, and you lose that direction entirely. In practice, what this means is confidence in complex environments that other drones cannot match. Tight tree lines, urban canyons, flying near structures, the system works, and it works reliably. Now, the honest limitations. The horizontal auxiliary view that you see in the app is actually a stitched composite from multiple sensors. In conditions where sky and ground exposure differ dramatically, you can see visible seam lines in that view. It does not affect avoidance performance, but it is visually noticeable. Subject tracking in complex environments becomes conservative quickly. After initial movement, the drone transitions into close tail follow to keep forward sensors facing obstacles. Even if you set side follow, it often reverts to tail follow in dense areas. That is safer. But it is also more restrictive than what Mini 5 Pro allows in similar conditions. And there was one situation during testing that I want to flag specifically. At longer follow distances in complex terrain, the drone occasionally accelerated suddenly beyond a safe speed. Not often, but it happened, and it resulted in contact with larger branches, so the sensing is powerful. The redundancy is impressive, but it is not flawless. You still need awareness, you still need to fly responsibly. The difference is that on Mavic 4 Pro, the safety net is wider and deeper than anything else DJI makes at this size. Like, the creator combo includes RC Pro 2, and the first impression is genuinely premium. Flip open the screen, it powers on, close it, standby. Leave it idle, deep sleep, the interaction feels considered, refined, no screw-in sticks. Mosh, the control feel is slightly more precise than RC2. The mini LED display is significantly brighter in direct sunlight. Now, the honest part, the screen uses low-frequency PWM dimming. In daylight, this is fine. In low light or night flying, eye strain becomes noticeable after extended sessions. The button layout changed from RC2. Return to home and emergency stop positions are reversed. Early on, it is very easy to press the wrong one at the wrong moment. That is not a small problem when you are flying near obstacles. The 5-way joystick and exposure dial exist to reduce screen tapping. Good idea in theory, but once you set exposure manually, it does not revert automatically, which creates its own workflow interruptions. My honest verdict on RC Pro 2, it is premium. It feels expensive. You know, the brighter screen and 10-bit HDR live transmission are real advantages for serious work. But for everyday flying, the workflow improvement over RC2 is smaller than the price difference suggests. The reverse button layout is a genuine safety concern until you fully retrain your muscle memory. If I could redesign it, keep the flip screen, keep the brightness, remove the unnecessary dial and 5-way pad, add more rear custom buttons, lighter, simpler, more elegant. Right now, it prioritizes looking premium over being optimal. So, after all of that, is the DJI Mavic 4 Pro worth it? Here is the honest answer. It depends entirely on what you are comparing it to. As a standalone drone, it is objectively the strongest imaging platform DJI has ever put in this form factor. Best image quality, full focal range, professional codecs, like long battery. So it's the most capable obstacle sensing system outside of enterprise products. On those metrics, it is the best. But here's something I noticed that DJ, I will never say out loud. They have deliberately spread core strengths across different models. Want the most dynamic, responsive flight feel? L3S. Want the most flexible and forgiving gimbal for fast shooting? Mini 5 Pro. Want gesture control, FPV style motion, and zero friction launch? Neo 2. Want absolute image quality and the widest sensing coverage? Mavic 4 Pro. There is no single drone with all features unlocked. Every choice means prioritizing something and giving something else up. And the Mavic 4 Pro gives up flight agility and gimbal simplicity in exchange for image quality and sensing coverage. Whether that trade makes sense depends on your work. For commercial photographers, cinematographers, and serious creators who need the best files and the widest safety net, this is the right tool. For creators who want dynamic movement, fast tracking shots, and aggressive flying, L3S or even Neo 2 will satisfy you more for significantly less money. And here's the thing I keep coming back to. Even with the Mavic 4 Pro in my hands, the gap between my footage and DJI's promo films did not close because that gap was never about the sensor. The best drone is not the one with the most megapixels or the longest range or the biggest gimbal. The best drone is the one that matches how you actually create. And for the right creator, the Mavic 4 Pro is genuinely the most capable tool DJI has ever made. Just make sure you are that creator before you spend this much money finding out. All right. Thank you for watching the video till the very end, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.